So I happen to represent, as you mentioned, a program called Empretec. It's a technical assistance program of the United Nations. It's run by the Division of Investment and Enterprise of UNCTAD. UNCTAD is the UN Conference on Trade and Development. The program is based in Geneva. It has developed a system of about 500,000 entrepreneurs across 50 countries worldwide, mostly developing countries. And we're installing the program in India at this time, thanks to the Ministry of MSME that requested this program about roughly 12 years ago. So we've done pilots through the last close to a dozen years with banks, with chambers of commerce, with various government institutions, including we've worked in Kerala as well. And there are certain findings of this thematic approach across segments of entrepreneurship. So you could be talking about rural entrepreneurship as a theme. You could be looking at agrarian or agro entrepreneurship as a theme. You could be looking at women entrepreneurship as a theme. You could be looking at youth entrepreneurship as a theme. You could be looking at tech entrepreneurship, early stage startups that would like to get into value chains and AI and digital economy as a theme. But so they're just two things that I'd like to place before you. I wouldn't even say I'd draw your attention to this. You're aware of it already. But just two things that we've learned over the last decade plus installation effort in India, and 30 years overall for the program, for the Empretec program across the developing world. The first is possibly that entrepreneurship is, it's interesting, but entrepreneurship possibly is a competency-driven approach. It's possibly more related to behaviors rather than skills that can be imparted through a structured learning process. So one of the things we've learned is that entrepreneurship cannot really be taught. It can possibly be inspired. There is an ecosystem development angle to this. Yes, of course, at a primary school level, at a secondary school level, through electives, through business visits, interaction of especially first generation entrepreneurs who have not been in touch with, entrepreneurs who haven't had entrepreneurship in the family in the past. So what they would like to be inspired by and with would be senior entrepreneurs across value chains, not necessarily in their industries. So, and that's how we've seen diffusion of inspiration. So that's one theme, at a broad level, philosophical approach. The other would be an existential approach to entrepreneurship. And this is something that I'd like to quickly, depending on the time that's available to me, I'd like to touch upon, and then possibly elaborate depending on how Sri Kumarji would like to take this forward. So by an existential approach would mean that first comes the existence of the entrepreneurial acumen, the entrepreneurial idea, the entrepreneurial development, and then the purpose setting is done. So the purpose setting or the goal setting of what it might mean to develop an entrepreneurial ecosystem does not precede the existence of an entrepreneurial ecosystem. So that's an existential approach. The essential approach would be to have a syllabus and to say, okay, so here's stage one, here's stage two, you go from stage 2 to stage 3. These are the steps you take, how to become a startup, how to become a successful startup, how to become a, and then, at the end of the 10th rule, you'd say, oh, I've done all of these, but somehow I'm stuck where I am. So apparently there isn't there isn't a syllabus, and an entrepreneur discovers as the entrepreneur moves along. And there is a good amount of learning across the system of the Empretec universe, the 500,000 entrepreneurs across the world, including from India, that points exactly to this direction, that entrepreneurship is inspired and entrepreneurship is existential.